Which notebook brand is best? Hey, welcome to ParkNotes. I'm Parker Settecase. I am a philosopher and theologian, and I'm an accidental notebook czar. I started studying philosophy and theology my junior year of college, and by then it was too late for me to switch my majors. So I started studying it on the side, and then once I graduated, I studied it more and more, watching lectures on YouTube and iTunes U, making friends with philosophy students and asking them to see their syllabi, and then reading a bunch of books and papers in philosophy and theology. I started using a simple pocket notebook to catch all of my thoughts. As I learned more and more, I started having my own original thoughts about the things I was learning, and so I would put those in a simple pocket notebook. And then I eventually started a blog, and I would manuscript out my blog posts in a medium moleskin notebook. So as I progressed in my self-learning journey, I started using notebooks more and more to remember things, to generate new ideas, and to manuscript out my own thoughts. So I was using notebooks to remember, to learn, and to think. I eventually went to grad school. I got 2 degrees in theology and 1 degree in philosophy. And because I'd taken such diligent notes in my own self-study, I was able to use them in my academic study to get ahead on my assignments quickly. So then in grad school, I started a podcast called Parker's Pensées. It's a philosophy and theology podcast, but we talk about nature and life and all sorts of things. I invite experts on to tell me about their research, tell me about their thoughts. It's mostly philosophers, but I have a lot of theologians as well, and some experts in other fields. But after years of hard work on my podcast and in my blog, I came to find out that way more people want to hear how I study than the details of what I study. Anytime I would talk about reading tips and notebook methods and study habits, those kind of posts would blow up. And so I made a whole channel just for those kind of things, and it's called ParkNotes. So my ParkNotes videos started taking off, and I got lots and lots of comments from people. People suggesting that I try this brand of notebook or this size of notebook. What do I think about digital note-taking apps and systems? What do I think about Settecase systems, and are they better or worse than commonplace books? As it turns out, there's a whole notebook tube community out there, and I was quickly becoming one of its czars or gurus. And so I decided I'm just going to embrace it. I'm going to dive all in on notebooks and notebook methods. Of course, I'm not giving up on the philosophy and theology side of things. I'm going to take that good content. I'm going to shoehorn it into my ParkNotes videos. I've been Trojan horsing my audience this whole time, just injecting philosophy into every single video. But I've also been taking a lot of suggestions from my comment section. I've tried a bunch of different notebooks and different notebook sizes. I've thought long and hard about the different notebook methods that I use. I've added some new ones. I've discovered some new ones. I've invented some new ones, and I've honed down some of the old ones I used to use. And so after this 1.5 year length deep dive into all things notebooks, I've come up with a pretty in-depth analysis of how you can keep a notebook. I did an entire video on that. You can watch that up here. But I've also discovered some really cool notebook brands, and I want to share those with you guys in this video. Now, these are all subject to change, but I'm going to share with you the 4 best medium-sized notebooks, and then I'll share with you the 4 best pocket-sized notebooks. So again, these are just my favorites. These are ones that I recommend to people. You may like different ones, and if you do, then you should leave those in the comments for other people to see or for me to see. Maybe I missed some in my research. I don't want to start some great notebook war between brands or brand sycophants or anything like that. I'll just be happy if I put some more people onto some really good notebooks. So with that said, before we jump in with some of my recommendations, I want to talk about the connection between philosophy and notebooks. Why am I so obsessed with them? Well, there's something really special about a blank notebook. It represents all this potential thoughts, potential experiences, and potential self-mastery. Those are the 3 main categories I use to chart the logical space of all notebooks. That is, to get clear on the categories of notebooks that you could keep in order to help you live well. So the first category is thoughts. You are either going to be generating your own thoughts in a notebook, or you're going to be collecting thoughts of others in a notebook. This is definitely my favorite category of notebook, but I'm a philosopher. I love thinking about things. I love thinking about thinking. So having a notebook for thoughts is a good thing. You can also use a notebook to capture experience. This would be like a diary. Once that experience is captured, you can go back and reflect on it and see, hey, who am I? What kind of person am I? How did I feel about this circumstance that happened to me? And so you can use something as simple as a paper notebook for self-reflection and self-knowledge. That's pretty cool. And then the third category is self-mastery. You can use a simple notebook to structure your life and to guard your time, to make sure you're living the kind of life that you want to live. And so the 3 main ways to use a notebook is for thoughts, for experience, or for self-mastery. So if you want to see my full analysis of those 3 categories and all the different ways that you can use a notebook in each one, check out my video. I think it's called The Very best way to use a notebook, but it's linked in the description. Okay, so when it comes to capturing your thoughts, your experiences, and mastering your life, I am super partial to paper notebooks, but there is at least one new digital method that I really like. It's called Plod. Now, I constantly get comments about digital methods for note-taking. Hey, what about using a tablet or a smartphone? There are tons of digital options and you may be missing out. I've actually tried a few digital options and I still like the paper notebook best, but there is at least one use case where I found a digital option to be better than a physical notebook, and that is when I'm driving or on the go and unable to write something down. And that's why I like Plod Note. Plod Note is the world's first AI audio device designed to eliminate the hassle of using multiple apps on your phone for narrow productivity tasks. It seamlessly records, transcribes, summarizes, and organizes meetings, calls, and conversations, making them actionable and efficient. So Plod Note has actually been trained on ChatGPT's GPT-4. Plod Note is super duper thin and you feel all futuristic using it. There are a bunch of different ways that you can use this to optimize your productivity, but the way I like to use it is to collect, store, and summarize my own memo notes. So for instance, when I'm walking my dogs, it's really hard for me to stop and take a note in my pocket notebook. My dogs are kind of unruly and they like to pull, but I can pull out my Plod Note, give it a long press, it will vibrate so I know that it's start recording. I speak my memo into the Plod Note. Another long press and 2 vibrates let me know that it's stopped recording. I then go to the Plod app and have AI transcribe, analyze, and summarize my memo for me to read back later. So you don't have to do this, but I like to take the transcribed notes and put them back in my pocket catch-all. Like I said, I'm a notebook guy. Plod Note also comes with this little holder that you can attach to the back of your phone, and you slip it in here like this, and you can also use it to record, transcribe, and summarize your phone calls or business meetings. So I found that Plod Note is at least one way to use artificial intelligence and new technology to actually optimize your cognitive tasks instead of offloading them completely. So check out Plod Note today and use the link in my description to let them know that I sent you. Okay, so big thanks to Plod Note for sponsoring this video. Now let's jump in with the 4 best pocket notebooks. Okay, so first up we have the cream of the crop. The best is the Leuchtturm 1917. Leuchtturm is probably not how it's actually pronounced, but you picked a weird name, so people are going to butcher it. I know it's German for lighthouse, which is kind of cool, but you have to admit it's a long name at least. So these are the best pocket notebooks. I love the shape of them. The quality is great. The elastic on these hold up better than the Moleskine pocket notebooks. I used to be obsessed with the Moleskines until I discovered these. These are the best. So I like the Leuchtturm so much that I made Murdy Creative make a special edition ParkNotes leather cover just for them. So this is the ParkNotes special edition Murdy Creative cover with a Parker pen interlocking the 3 leather clasps, and his patented bar that goes in the spine of it. Comes with the ParkNotes logo right there on the inside cover and my slogan, study and think deeply. So that's super cool. If you want to grab one of these and support my work and Murdy Creative, then check the link in the description. Leuchtturm 1917, the best pocket notebook. Next up, I recommend a Field Notes memo book. These are super duper cool. They are really flexible. They're pretty small. They'll fit in your back pocket. They'll fit in your front pocket. The Leuchtturm is going to be a little bit thicker, and I really like the hard covers of those, but I think you can get them in soft cover, maybe not. But these are super soft cover. These are really lightweight, saddle stitched, I think is what you call that when the middle is like sewn together. These aren't sewn, they're just 3 staples. But it's super minimal and it's a memo book. You can write whatever you want in here and not feel bad about it, not feel like you're wasting money. And they're surprisingly durable for what they are. Now, I picked Field Notes because they come out with all sorts of really cool editions like this Foiled Again edition. Super duper cool. They're really into notebooks. They love what they do. They're really into art as well, and you can see that on all their different editions. And so Field Notes feels like more of a community than some of these other notebook brands. They even come out with new editions like every quarter. So for the collectors out there, you're going to love that also. So I know some people may not like a Field Notes. Maybe they don't like that there's staples in it or something like that. You should go with the Leuchtturm. But if you think that's too bulky for you, definitely do a Field Notes memo book. I use both for different things. I feel much better using a memo book for memos, for grocery lists, for things that I don't need to hold on to forever. And I like writing more permanent things like ideas and important thoughts in my Leuchtturm. So next up we have the Midori pocket notebook. These are super duper cool and I like using the grid style. This is the coolest grid that there is. I don't know how they figured this out, but it just looks so beautiful. The color is really sweet and they don't quite connect. It gives it a unique shape that's different than all the other grids I've ever seen. Grids are super important to me because I like that freedom to go all over the place, but there's still structure. More structure than just a dot will give you. Definitely more than a blank page, which is terrifying. but not so much structure like just the plain ruled ones. So here's my contemplation pocket notebook. This is a personal compendium of really important ideas that I want to master and become an expert in. And I have it in this Stride Ridge leather cover. I really like leather covers for all of my stuff. You can find links to those in the description, including this one. But for those who aren't into leather goods, Midori also has a paper notebook cover, which works pretty well actually. It's a little bit sharp at first, but you just push on a little bit and it'll loosen up. This is pretty cool. They're all pink-ish, so deal with that, but it's a paper notebook cover and it's pretty cool. I will say with the Midoris, they are like unfinished looking. So if you look at the edge, this is going to be pretty rough. And if you just slip it in and out of your pocket all the time, that's going to get beat up and probably start falling apart. They're surprisingly well made. Like they last really long and they sit flat on the desk, which is really cool, but you're probably going to want a cover for it. So either get a leather cover from like Etsy or somewhere, or grab the Midori official paper notebook cover for your paper pocket notebook. And then the fourth best pocket notebook is the Moleskine Cahier, I think is how you say it. This is super similar to the Field Notes, but it is plain Jane, super boring. It's not going to be that cool community like Field Notes is, but it does have a actual saddle stitch in the middle. So it's going to be a little bit more durable than just those 3 staples, but it's pretty bland. You can get them in other colors and stuff. That's cool. They are pretty durable. It may just be a tiny bit more durable than a Field Notes, but you're trading off the coolness of the Field Notes for the blandness of the Moleskine. However, when I use the plain Jane Moleskine, I use it in a Murdy Creative number 7, and he has done it again. He created this really cool bar system in the middle there that goes along with the saddle stitch, and as always, a beautiful leather cover. So this guy is super slim and durable and really, really cool. So you might consider getting a Murdy Creative for either your Moleskine Cahier or your Field Notes memo books. Okay, so I've got just 2 honorable mentions. First up is the Moleskine Pocket Notebook. It's hard to go wrong with these. I have loved these for like 10 years. It was the only pocket notebook that I used until I discovered some of these others. It's honorable mention because I still have a soft spot for it in my heart. The size is pretty good. The paper quality is not going to be as good as some of these other notebooks that I've already mentioned. And the reason it's not in the top 4 is because the elastic wears out way quicker, way easier than the Leuchtturm does. I've yet to have a Leuchtturm stretch out on me and not come back to its, elastic shape, but the Moleskines definitely do over time. And from what I hear online, they've been cutting corners recently. Maybe that's going to change. Maybe they're going to go back and the paper will be a little bit better, and maybe you can start using your fountain pens with it again, but as it is, it's not in the top 4. But it is honorable mention. So you may really like a Moleskine pocket notebook, but it has fallen out of my top 4. And then the last honorable mention is the Stalogy pocket notebook. Again, I could be saying these all completely wrong. I don't have a ton of people in my life that are notebook heads, that are notebook junkies like me, so I don't talk about these in person or out loud a ton. It's usually just interacting with you guys in the comments. But I'm going to say Stalogy, and these are pretty cool notebooks. There are a ton of pages in here. This is a graph notebook. I really like that. The paper quality is really good. It's another Japanese brand. It has the months of the year and the days of the month up top, so you can just circle those to mark off what day it is instead of having to write that up there. That's kind of cool. One of the things I don't super love about this brand is that the cover will start folding back on you because this outside shiny material is different than the inside, so I think it kind of pulls on it. The paper is super thin, but I think it's still really good quality, but it is on the thin side. That's how they can get so many pages in here. And when you first get it, it's going to smell pretty bad. This one, worst smell award goes to the Stalogy. That's okay. It goes away pretty quick, but it smells really strong, like some kind of chemical. It's a little bit big to be putting in your pocket. The Midori is also kind of wide profile, but this is wide and thick. I do like it, and I do recommend it for those who like a thicker pocket notebook, something like a intermediate between super small and a medium-sized notebook. Now, one of my favorites that I am reluctant to even mention is the Smythson of Bond Street. This is not even honorable mention because they're so expensive. It's a really, really nice size. The paper is beautiful. It's got this rich history that goes all the way back to 1887. This is the notebook that Moriarty used in Sherlock Holmes' Game of Shadows, even this color. So it's really expensive. It's not refillable. So, I mean, you're done with the leather when you're done with the pocket notebook. I had to get this because I have painted myself into the corner as a notebook czar, and because I love Sherlock Holmes' Game of Shadows just so much. So I can't even recommend this to you. It's just so super expensive, and I don't have an affiliate with them, so I can't even give you a discount. If you want, check them out. It's really, really cool, really quality, but pocket notebooks should be practical, and so the others are going to be way more practical. All right, now let's jump in with the 4 best medium-sized notebooks. Number 1, the cream of the crop, is the Leuchtturm 1917 A5. So the pocket is the A6, this is the A5. These are amazing. I love this so much. They are super duper quality notebooks. The elastic keeps its shape, it keeps its snap to it. Unlike another brand, which is super unfortunate, it's the true A5 size, so it's going to have a little bit more margins to it than the Moleskine, which made up its own shape. I really love to use the graph style. The graphs on these are really nice. It's good color. It's not as good as the Midori, because no one beats the Midori when it comes to the graph shape, but the paper's really good. You can still use a fountain pen on them. Some people have claimed that you can't, but I use a fountain pen in mine every single day. So people who have commented that, I think you're probably thinking of the Moleskine. Moleskine notebooks have changed their paper, and those don't work super well with fountain pens anymore, but the Leuchtturm does. And I know that fountain pens work because I use my Sailor fountain pen on my Leuchtturm 1917 book of aphorisms all the time. I only use a fountain pen when I'm writing my aphorisms, and there's no feathering or bleeding through, nothing. It's an amazing notebook, and I really hope they never change it. Please don't change this. It's my favorite. Don't do it. By the way, this is a really cool Norm Con leather notebook. Another stupid expensive one. If you are a notebook czar also, and you make your living through making notebook videos, then you could probably justify it. If not, then good luck. A more modestly priced, though still definitely not cheap, cover for your Leuchtturm 1917 is going to be a saddleback cover. These are super awesome. It's got the pen loop with it. Opens right up, fits the Leuchtturm perfectly. I really love my saddleback covers. You may also like a Murdy Creative leather cover with the Parker pen that holds everything all together. I love Murdy Creative, super great. I have a discount for you in the description as well. Another great cover is the OLPR from Etsy. These are really nice, super thin. Another great cover. I have tons and tons of covers for mine. A lot of that is because I was exploring different types of leather and different companies that I like, trying to figure out which one's best. You definitely don't have to, and you don't have to use leather covers either. Some of you may like the wax canvas Lockbee cover. This is another affiliate of mine, and you can get a 10% discount with these guys as well. If you're not into leather and you like this rugged wax canvas, then this is the one for you. It's got 2 pen loops. It's got this hook. This is an art creative in here, but you can definitely fit your Leuchtturm 1917 in there as well. And then you just cover it back up, and boom. So check out the Lockbee stuff too. All right, there are a bunch of leather covers that you can get, but the best medium notebook is the Leuchtturm 1917 A5. All right, so next up is the Midori A5. This is such a good notebook. I really love these. This is the grid, and like I said, this is the best grid that any notebook has ever made. These are the coolest. These open up flat. There are a bunch of pages in here. It's Japanese paper. It's got the amazing grid. Again, I'm gonna like a cover for this because you have this rough kind of binding, which doesn't feel all that great. The cover feels smooth and beautiful, and it's this thicker paper, but that binding is unfinished, and the bookmark is right here on the outside. That's just asking to get pulled up and ripped out. So I like to use a cover for these. If you've watched my ParkNotes videos, then most of them have been done based off of a Midori MD A5 here. And I have this in a black Stride Ridge cover. All it takes is just some kind of cover to protect your Midori notebook. It doesn't even have to be a leather one. Just like the pocket notebook, Midori makes a paper cover for their A5s. Again, it's the same color, kind of light pink, which may not be your favorite color, but it is what it is. So this is one of my sketchbooks here, and this is just a blank Midori, but these are super cool. So you don't have to use leather. You can even use this paper one. Some of you may like it just raw like this. I definitely don't, but I'm sure a lot of you will or do. So that's the Midori A5 with the coolest graph paper. You don't have to get in graph, but if you haven't yet, you should try it because it's super awesome. Okay, next up, this may not be medium. I don't know if this counts or not, but it's my list and I'm going to make it count. This is the Leuchtturm 1917 B6 Plus. This is maybe the best sized notebook of all time. It's right between a Moleskine and a Leuchtturm 1917 A5 or the other A5s, but it's super small, but you can still fit a ton of pages in here. So I love this. This is becoming my favorite. It may beat out the A5. The B6 Plus is super great. It's like term, so it's going to be quality. The elastic's really nice on there, but you can probably fit this in some of your pockets. I can fit it in my jacket pocket, which is really nice. It can kind of do some of the work of a pocket notebook, but it's still pretty big. You can get a lot of thoughts in here. It's not as tall as a Moleskin's going to be. It's just really nice. I just discovered this one this year, and I had a custom leather cover made by Norm Khan, which is cool. You definitely don't have to do this, but I did, and I love this. You're probably gonna have a hard time finding a cover for a B6, but that's okay. You don't need a cover. Try these out. So this is my notebook for my short stories that I write on Sages, Mages, and Wisdom Machines. It's a subsection of my Substack. So this is where I write out all of those short stories. It's mostly just the idea and then an outline. Sometimes I'll fill in some of the dialogue, but it's just big enough for all the ideas to get out there, but it's not so big that I'm writing out the entire dialogue. That's not really my creative process anyways. I love this. I love looking at the outline and the big ideas. I know where I'm gonna go, and then I sit down and I write it all out. So these B6 Pluses are just such a really cool size. You can also get them in soft cover. If you don't like the hardback without a cover on it, just get a soft cover. That's cool too. And then lastly, the fourth medium-sized notebook that I recommend and really like is the Field Notes 64-page notebook. So it's not a memo book, it's a notebook. It's a really good size. It's actually about the same size as the Leuchtturm 1917 B6. So if you look at that, that's pretty cool, but you'll see the thickness is much different. This you definitely can fit in your back pocket if you're wearing jeans. Maybe ladies can't, but dudes definitely can. And I bet a lot of ladies could, depending on the jeans. I love that they're not trying to be something they're not. This is just a notebook. It doesn't have to hold all the secrets of the universe. That would probably be your Leuchtturm 1917. But this is just a notebook. This is a tool for thinking and collecting ideas, for capturing your experiences, or for mastering your life. And you don't feel super compelled to hold on to this for your entire life if you don't want to. So I haven't found a lot of really cool leather covers for these either. But Mission Leather Co. has made a couple which are really cool. So they open like that. It looks kind of like those wallets that people make to hold the Field Notes memo books, but this is larger. So you can put your business cards in here or money or whatever, and that's pretty sweet. I like this color even better. And this is my old Field Notes notebook where I would put all of my outlines for ParkNotes videos. So I graduated from this to the Midori sometime last year, but I still really like the Field Notes 64-page notebook. Now we got a couple more honorable mentions. First up is the Hobonichi notebook. This is another graph one. Super duper cool. This almost made it right into the top 4, but I think the Midori beats it out probably. There's something about this cardboard cover that it bends a little bit, but best smelling paper award goes to the Hobonichi notebook. This thing smells amazing. Oh man. That's what paper should smell like. Some more Japanese paper. I think a lot of you will really like these. Here I have another OLPR leather cover for a Midori notebook, but you can also use the Hobonichi in here as well. Next up, honorable mention is the Moleskin. This one doesn't have the elastic band because it got stretched out and I got all frustrated and I cut it off. But it's a classic. A lot of you are going to love the Moleskin notebook. I just know what they used to be, and so I'm frustrated with the change in the paper, and I think the change in the elastic band, but maybe not. Whatever the case, it's still a really good notebook, and I think a lot of you will still enjoy a medium Moleskin notebook. Maybe even better than the classic Moleskin notebook is the expanded medium Moleskin, super duper thick, 400 pages. Again, I just wish that it was different paper on the inside, and I'm really nervous that this elastic band is going to go before I'm done using this. There's 400 pages here, so it's going to take me much longer. That's even more time for this elastic band to get stretched out and make me super sad. But I've been using them in the Murdy Creative #2 leather cover for the expanded Moleskin, and so I don't even have to use the elastic band at all because I use this kind of cover. And so this is one of my commonplace books. It is a general treasury commonplace book. Most of you probably don't know that terminology, but you should watch my videos on commonplace books if you want to get clear on those kind of distinctions that I like to make. Next up, we got the medium Stology. Again, it's going to not smell the best. It's going to smell kind of chemically when you first get it, but that will go away. I do have a leather cover here. This is a Stride Ridge. This is where I work out some of my theology papers. I still am doing some theology, not as much as I used to. Much more philosophy nowadays, but I do have a theology notebook where I'm working on some papers, maybe a Warhammer 40K anthology paper. Maybe just stay tuned for that later. But this is a Stride Ridge cover on the Stalogy medium notebook, super duper thick. Let's go to the end here so you don't read my theology notes. There's a lot of paper in here, which is really cool. Again, it's really, really thin paper, but it's nice, like Japanese paper. So some of you who want more pages and good quality paper are going to like the Stalogy. And then lastly, we have the Moleskine Kaye medium notebook. This is the same size as the medium Moleskines. This is a saddle stitch down the middle, so it's sewn right in the middle of the notebook. Pretty cool. It's got a little compartment back here for you to put mementos or notes or whatever. That's nice. This is a lot like the field notes. Again, maybe a little bit more durable, but again, just plain Jane. Is it matte black? It's just black. And so I put stickers on these. I've also seen people customize these. So I went to a biblical theology conference a few years ago, put on by Doctrine and Devotion. I love those dudes. Used to go to that church. Good dudes. And so I still have this, and I use it for some theology notes. It's been pretty durable. I just slipped it in this Murdy Creative number 7, the giant one that fits the Moleskine Kayes. So that's pretty cool. If you want it to last even longer, you could put it in a Murdy. If not, just use it by itself. Okay, so that's a lot of notebooks. I probably am not going to do a whole ton of other videos like that, so I hope you enjoyed this one. Some people are probably super mad saying this is just one big commercial, but there's a lot of you out there who really love notebooks, who want to see what I've been using. But wait, I have to add just one more. This is a Rogue journal. These are really cool. I wish I was an affiliate with them so I could give you guys a discount. I will put a link in the description. Just like everything else, it's all linked. But this is a Rogue journal. This is like my official journal, just random ideas go in here, and I'm processing stuff and thinking it through. So I don't want to show you guys too much of that, but it's got really cool designs, really cool paper. RogueJournals.com. It's really thick stuff at the end. It's cut really cool. I don't know if this is handmade paper or not, but it's pretty nice. I think the lined paper you can use a fountain pen on. Not positive on that, but I think so. So this is a Rogue journal, and these are not as expensive as you would think, given how much leather is used, and it's really quality stuff. Surprisingly affordable, given how awesome it is. Okay, now we're done. So that's me, the Notebook Czar, just nerding out on notebooks, just information download for you guys. I hope someone out there liked it. If you did, you have to leave me a notebook emoji in the comments. Make sure to like this video and subscribe if you like philosophy or notebooks or theology or science fiction stuff. All that is happening here on ParkNotes. So thanks for watching. I'll catch you guys next time.